It's time for another episode of Breaking the Mold featuring the Rogue. Welcome to the Attic Dungeon. My name is Sam, and whether you want to get punched in the face or control the enemies, I'm here to help you with everything. Hi, and thank you for watching the Attic Dungeon again. Once again, I'm going to give the self-promotion bit brief. If you like what I do, subscribe, click the bell, leave a comment, whatever. There's two things I have to talk to you about before I get going. One is the ever-present promotion for Day of Dungeons, the festival I'm organizing together with my friends in Belgium. It's all about Dungeons and Dragons, and we have passed the 50% mark of tickets being sold. So half the tickets are already gone, and we've only been selling them for a month. So go and get yours before they're all gone. Second, and that is more important, I want to draw your attention, like anyone should, to the open gaming license changes that Wizards of the Coast wants to make. Now, I'm not going to spend an entire episode talking about them. Other people have done so in many better ways. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Inform yourself, because what Hasbro/Wizards is trying to do is basically steal intellectual property rights from anyone who wants to publish or decently create something for D&D 5th edition or for 1D&D. So please, 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 if you don't know what you're talking about, go look it up. I'll put a link down below to a great bit of information where you can see what the hell is happening. And if you have any way of supporting the community in general in this cause, don't hesitate to do so. Again, it's not about the fact that Wizard has the idea of asking for royalties for people who publish something D&D related. It's the fact they want to steal your ideas and control everything. Enough with the serious business, we're going on to our show for today. So, we're breaking the mold again. I'm taking the Rogue. Sam, you've always been saying that this series started with the Rogue, namely a long time ago I made a healer Rogue. So why would you do the Rogue again? Because I wanted to. It's not because the Rogue accidentally started this that they don't deserve another entry in this series. Also, they're a very flexible class actually to work with. And that's the problem. They are a very flexible class. So they can be social because you have the swashbuckler subclass, which is charisma focused. So you want charisma, you can be the social rogue, take the right skills. Exploration, great. Damage dealing, great. Healer, not that great, but I already solved that problem. So I only have really one thing to do with my rogue. And you can see this coming from miles away, but I'm going to create another tank. Whoop-de-doo. So the tank rogue. Now I tried to deviate from the usual stuff a bit. But there are certain things that I gotta do here. What does a tank need? First off, you need to be strong as the mountain. No, you need some decent survivability. And the rogue actually gets a few really great passives that help them survive damage when they get hit. So that's good. You need battlefield control. Tricky, because none of the rogue subclasses actually provide decent battlefield control. The only bit you have is the swashbuckler, who can avoid opportunity attacks. Luckily, there is one exception. It is the Arcane Trickster. Because you have access to Enchantment and Illusion spell list of the wizard, you have access to many great crowd control spells. So good, we're going to get those. Downside, they are going to be limited in numbers of uses per day. You are going to have to pay more attention to your resources than some other tanks. But some of the resources that you use have a larger impact than, let's say, oh, I got Sentinel and Polar Master, I can slash away the speed of one enemy every turn. You won't be able to do that, but you will be able to web 5 enemies in one turn and watch them suffer in spider goop. So it's that's where we're doing things a bit different than for other tanks. Usually tanks are really great in the long term. They can just keep going and going and going and going. They reset a lot of stuff on short rest. You have good damage mitigating abilities that don't use any resources at all, but your crowd control is going to be more limited, will only reset on long rest. So that is the trade-off here. I was looking at race. It's not that there is a race that has inherently super strong crowd control abilities. I opted to grab the Dwergar race as they are presented in Mordekainen's multi-tome thingamajiggy. Why the Dwergar race? Two reasons. The spells they get. You get enlarge / reduce, and you get invisibility. Now, invisibility is a cool crowd control spell. Infiltration spell, which is always nice to have. Enlarge Reduce actually does help you in the crowd control department, especially the enlarge part. Obviously, Reduce could be used to weaken an enemy, but if you enlarge yourself and you become a large creature, you occupy more space in the room. Simple as that. Instead of 1 square, you take up 4 squares, which also means you have more contact points with enemies for opportunity attacks and stuff like that. So your zone of control becomes larger because you are larger, hence you're more of an obstruction on the battlefield. Hence Enlarge helps you control the battlefield. The good news is you get a free cast of Enlarge every day, and you can cast it through your normal level 2 spell slots. It's not going to be our preferred choice of casting through our spell slots, but it's nice to have anyway. You also get advantage versus effects that try to charm and stun you, which certainly is not bad at all. Especially stun is an incredibly nasty thing when it pops up, which might be a bit more at higher levels, but still having advantage on those saves might help you in some clutch situations. Spreading out our ability scores, a bit on the extreme side. We're going to grab a +2 bonus in dexterity and a +1 bonus in intelligence. Don't forget, the new Dwergar follow the flexible ability score rule, so they don't have any fixed ability score bonuses. So I took +2 dex, +1 intelligence. Intelligence, obviously we're going Arcane Trickster. We need half a decent spell save, and 16 is a good start. 17 dexterity because feats. And 14 constitution. You need some hit points. You have a d8 hit die, which is not bad. So a bit more constitution will keep you on your feet long enough. Your goal is not to get hit that much rather than soak it through your hit points. You're not a barbarian. Something else that is worth noting here, of course, for the rogue, you start out with only light armor, so those first few levels you're not going to be the tankiest of tanks. Though your high dexterity will pump up your armor class to weak levels, but not the weakest level. You'll get into the tanking game at level 4 due to obvious feat choices. Another important thing is, of course, that your saving throws here. The rogues get dexterity saves, which are amazing for avoiding traps. Quite a few damaging spells rely on dexterity saves, so that's good. You also get intelligence saves, which pop up a lot less, but are still not bad to have. If your campaign features any mind flayers, you're going to be happy with that intelligence save. Okay, a quick run through all the relevant rogue abilities. Obviously at level 1 you gain sneak attack, which is going to be a nice source of damage and which will scale with you. So that's how you keep up in damage. It's sneak attack, very simple. Level 2, cunning action. While not giving you any battlefield control, it gives you tremendous mobility on the battlefield, and that is also something a tank can appreciate. Being able to dash or disengage as a bonus action is really strong. We are evolving towards a sword and shield rogue, so you will not be using your bonus action to dual wield. At least not in my build, you could. So dash and disengage will be used frequently to move about, obstruct enemies, help your allies. That's all really good stuff actually. And on occasion hide might be useful, but you want to be present on the battlefield, so dash and disengage are going to be your best friends. Level 3, of course, we pick up the Arcane Trickster. Now, there's the entire thing with mage hand shenanigans. That's fun, but only becomes really relevant, I think, at level 9 when you can distract enemies with it. The other stuff is really useful out of combat, by the way. Being able to lockpick with your thief tools through your mage hand is a very safe way of opening trap chests, but all of that's not relevant for our tanking build. What is relevant are the spells, of course. Cantrip wise, you want to pick up either Green Flame Blade or Booming Blade. Could do both. Strong preference if you have to pick for Booming Blade, because it adds crowd control. Booming Blade slaps an enemy for damage and then adds a little enchantment on them, so to speak, that if they move voluntarily, they explode for more damage. While the monsters might not know this at the start of fight, after a round or two, they will notice that whenever the rogue smacks them in the face, they explode if they move, and they might be more inclined to stick to the rogue, or they will take a lot of damage and die faster. So it's a win-win. Booming Blade is your top priority pick here for cantrips. Green Fire Blade is just to give you some cleave damage, and then you can pick up any utility cantrip. Mind Sliver might be worth a pick here. Something nice to open combat with, to try to weaken an enemy's resistance to saving throws to follow up with a crowd control, or for one of your allies to follow up with a strong spell. It's not a bad pick. It gives you a ranged alternative, even though you already have a bow in your pocket. So any of those spells, you get 3 spells, and one of them can be any type of spell, but we're going to focus really heavily on that crowd control aspect. So don't bother with taking blasting spells. They don't scale properly with your level anyway. Your attack, your sneak attack, or even green fire blade will do decent amounts of damage that your level 1 thunder wave will not reach in your lifespan as an arcane trickster rogue. So keep it utility based and crowd control based. Those are the spells you're looking for. Level 4, we really get into our tanking game here. We're picking up moderately armored. What else? I cannot make a paper bag into tank build without this feat, to be honest. But for the rogue, it really gives us everything we need. Obvious access to medium armor, shields, and a +1 on dexterity. So now we have 18 dexterity at level 4, just like any other rogue would want to have, but we're no longer made out of wet paper. Armor choice here is of course relevant. If you're willing to sacrifice stealth for 4 levels, you can aim for a half plate, which will give you a very nice 19 armor class, I think, with the shield added, but your stealth will suck for 4 levels. If you take the breastplate, you'll go to 18 armor class, which is nice, and you will still be able to stealth without disadvantage. Those are your choices when shopping for armor as the level 4 tank rogue. Oh yeah, you also get an extra spell. It has to be an illusion or enchantment spell. Grease is also an option here. It gives you some crowd control on the floor, so that is also not bad. Obvious other spells are Tasha's Hideous Laughter, a single target crowd control spell. Of course, you cannot damage the enemy once you've made them giggle, but it's a strong spell to eliminate one enemy from combat. It is concentration based, so you want to avoid getting hit, of course. And another fun spell could be Silvery Barbs. Silvery Barbs is a reaction spell that allows you to give an enemy disadvantage after they've rolled and advantage to somebody else you can see. I think the other spells like Atasha's are going to be stronger for your rogue, or any other single target control spell that really removes an enemy, but Silvery Barbs, giving somebody advantage in a clutch moment, disadvantage in a clutch moment, can be really strong. So for your level 1 spells in total, we're really looking at Grease, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Silvery Barbs. Color Spray is also a good option. At low level at least, being able to blind multiple enemies potentially is not bad. It's strong crowd control for 1 full round because they'll all have disadvantage on attack rolls. Level 5 gives you Uncanny Dodge, which is a fun little bit that when you get damage, you can use your reaction to halve that damage. So to save your health pool, you can use your reaction to halve 1 source of damage per turn, which can be really strong when some strong spell hits you with a lot of damage, or this giant enemy with really strong attacks. You just halve damage on 1 attack, which will save you more often than not. Of course, that means you cannot use your reaction to do a potential sneak attack or whatever. But hey, your goal is to stay alive, and Uncanny Dodge together with your now considerable armor class is really good. Level 6 gives you expertise, pick 2 skills and get on with it. Level 7, Evasion. Another important one here, it upgrades your dexterity saves. If you would roll a dex save for something and you fail the save, you only take half damage now, and if you succeed on the save, you take no damage. You have a really strong dexterity save. This is going to keep you alive even longer. You also get level 2 spells now at level 7. It's a bit late, so again we're looking at crowd control spells. Our 16 intelligence will give us decent odds of landing those. Phantasmal Force is a personal favorite. You scare the crap out of something, you're potentially damaging it as well, so that's a really good single target crowd control. And Web is a nice multi-target. Webbing a bunch of enemies so they can't move, they will be restrained, which is really strong as well. Has great potential in many combat situations for crowd control again, and that is what you want to be doing. And then at level 8, we're picking one more feat, because 18 dexterity is enough for now, and don't forget the rogue gets an extra ability score improvement at 10. So you can pick up your 20 dexterity at 10, or even 12 if you want another cool feat at 10, and there's plenty, to be honest. But medium armor master is going to be our pick here. Why? Now we can wear half plate without losing our stealth skills. Medium Armor Master removes any stealth penalties from any piece of medium armor that you might be wearing. And you can, medium armor only allows you to add +2 from your dexterity bonus to your armor class. Now you can do a +3. So upgrading to half plate, if you haven't done so already, and adding another armor class will put you with your basic shield and basic half plate armor on 20 armor class, which is on par with a heavy armor character. So now you're basically walking around in full plate with a shield while sneak attacking people. Level 8 is also another free spell pick, by the way. So you can pick any spell from the wizard list, but the same focus really remains that we're going for those control and utility spells, but I'm sure there might be something useful in the list. There you are. That's the first 8 levels of our rogue tank. I think this character with a rapier and a shield could actually be a considerable force on any battlefield, thanks to the control. And you'll have your out of combat utility as a scout, as a skill monkey, always, because you're the basic rogue. There we are. A very quick trip through the rogue tank. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me about other weird things you've done with your rogue builds. Book your ticket for Day of Dragons and resist the new open gaming license. And if all goes well, I'll see you all again in 2 weeks in the Attic Dungeon.